So I'm a registered dietitian, a food expert that loves what he does. On a day-to-day basis, I get the opportunity not only to teach you about how to go about your health, but help you develop a relationship with food. And I love what I do. On a day-to-day basis, I get to help athletes, children, families, you name it. Probably the coolest part about what I do is helping those find recovery that struggle with eating disorders. Not just from the eating disorder itself, but from that pesky negative self-talk that has you questioning all of your food choices. Do you know what it's like to constantly question your food choices? I bet some of you do. You see, you teach recovery with interaction. You help the client interact with food, and then you do it over and over and over again until they get to a point where they can enjoy a donut or an avocado for the first time in a long time and then live to tell you about it. I can tell you that both of us get super hyped about the experience. I've always felt really good about doing this, like I was meant to do this. I teach people how to eat. If I can teach those people, then I can teach anyone. What I haven't told you is that I'm also a dietitian and a food expert that was unfit, unable, and incapable of feeding his own daughter. Can you imagine the blow that my ego took when I realized this? It all started when my daughter Rory was about 3 months old. My wife Callie had to go back to work for maternity leave, and it was me, all alone, with this little amazing terror. She may look adorable, but have you ever pissed off a hungry baby? Have you ever pissed off a hungry baby that missed her mom? Have you ever pissed off a hungry baby that missed her mom and missed the warmth, love, and nourishment of boobs? I don't have those. The first couple of days of trying to introduce the bottle was complete chaos. Each and every time was unsuccessful. It would end in crying, in tears, and in tantrums, followed by a complete collapse into exhaustion. Rory might have had some feelings too, I'm not really sure. After about a week straight of this happening, Callie and I had argued enough about what we were doing, what I wasn't doing, that we decided to seek the counsel of a feeding expert. This was new for me. Upon getting there, it hit me. I was no longer the expert in the room. I was the client. This threw me for an absolute loop. I started telling myself things like, really, Des, food expert, you literally just starve your brand new baby. Des, for real, you're going to provide for your girls doing this? I hated myself as a dietitian. I hated myself as a husband. Let's get real. I hated myself as a new dad. But what followed the appointment was an opportunity for me to lean on my own understanding with feeding and to dive into the research, to try to figure out what the heck was going on. And what I found has absolutely changed the way that I practice my profession, and even more so the way that I practice being a dad. Check it out. So what we know about feeding is that there's a give and take relationship between parents and children, where the parents are responsible for what the child eats, when the child eats, and where the child eats. Kids, on the other hand, are responsible for how much they eat, what they eat, and whether or not they're even willing to touch the thing that you spent 3 hours making for them. Rory is not willing to touch anything that I made on this occasion. And any other occasion past 7 p.m., it's great. You see, the good thing about Rory and other kids is that they're able to eat healthy diets. They fixate on things like taste and texture and the experience of food, which obviously gives them an opportunity to eat variety, to eat whole grains, protein, fruits, veggies, you name it. I often have frantic parents coming to me saying, my kid hates fruits and veggies, or they'll only eat chicken nuggets. You see, this isn't possible because we have a mechanism inside of us that drives variety. Here's an example. Do me a favor and think of your favorite food right now. Do you have it? Now picture yourself eating that same food over and over and over again. Can you imagine a diet chock full of just pizza, cookies, and ice cream? Never. Some of you are like, yeah. Children and parents have got this. They can eat healthy diets. Research shows it. So why do we have so many nutritional diseases out today? What disrupts that give and take relationship? Research tells us that it's pressure, perhaps to make your kid finish their plate because there's starving kids in the world. It's the rewards and consequences that come with what may or may not happen if you finish your broccoli. And it's the limiting of menus, keeping age-appropriate foods away from kids, pizza, cookies, ice cream. Think about that for a second. So usually what tends to happen is that parents come in, and it's basic education. And at that point, they can leave and go live healthy lives. But with eating disorders, it's a little bit different. I recently got consulted to help a child with their eating disorder. Meet Joanne, 10 years old, at a healthy weight, was bulimic, would purge her food 3 to 4 times a day, and she hated her body. So Joanne and her mom came in, and I usually start my consults with the same question. That is, tell me about family dinners. Because what that question does, it gives me 2 pieces of information. One is the give and take relationship that we spoke about earlier, and the second is the family dynamic. And so as I asked that question, right away, mom rifled in and said, I don't know why she's overweight. I only feed her organic foods. I make her exercise after every meal. She always diets. I just don't get it. Whoa, okay. So as I let mom continue, she disclosed that she was overweight as a child until she started dieting around age 10, until she was diagnosed with an eating disorder. And the thing that hurt the most, both as a clinician and as a father, was hearing her say that there was nothing that she could have done because eating disorders were in the family. You see, as a clinician, it's my belief that eating disorders are not hereditary. They are environmental. They are caused culturally by you and culturally by me. A recent poll was taken, and they found that 10-year-old girls fear being fat worse than they fear cancer, and even crazier, fear being fat worse than they fear the death of their own parents. You see, Joanne's mom was projecting her fear all over Joanne. And I might not have given Rory an eating disorder late in her life, but I can tell you that I projected my fear of inadequacy as a father all over our feeding experience. See, Joanne and her mom are perfect pictures of what we're seeing with diet culture today. Right now, we know that half of Americans are currently dieting. 35% of those will progress to more dangerous dieting, and a whopping 25% will progress to full-blown eating disorders. So why does this happen? I tend to think it's the same. It's pressure to look a certain way, to be someone that you're not. It's the rewards and consequences that come with desperately wanting a body that you just genetically cannot have. And it's the limiting of menus that you all know as diets. And I remember thinking about this concept, and while I thought about it, I took a step back, and I got super excited. What if our responsibility to feed ourselves was the same as responsibility to feed our children, with love and with care? What if we started to look at food in the same way that kids do, with magic, with intrigue, and non-judgment? I think I've come up with a way to beat this. It sounds super crazy, but stay with me. You've got to play with your food. You've got to have sanctioned food fights. Can you imagine everyone in this auditorium getting up and throwing things at one another, you dodging a biscuit, having a handful of mashed potatoes and slamming it in the person to your left's face? It would be exhilarating. It sounds crazy, but what you're doing is you're creating a positive experience with food that you will never, ever forget. You have to play with your food. You have to eat with your hands when it doesn't even call for it. You have to try new food experiences. Rory didn't know that this was cold tofu, But she didn't care because she was exploring her world with magic and with intrigue. When's the last time that you helped in the kitchen and got really dirty? The last time that you used your hands to eat? The last time that you wiped the bottom of the bowl because it was so good? You have to play with your food. And lastly, you have to look at food with love and with care. This is my mom. Every birthday of mine, she asks the same two questions, and that is, who do you want to have over, and what do you want to eat? And my answer is always my friends and family and tostadas. A nice fried corn tortilla, slather of beans, different types of protein, beautiful veggies, and the best salsa you've ever had in your life. You see, what I've done here is I've created a positive experience with food. And only then could I be truly present with those that I love and also my own hunger cues. So that it's not about the calories. It's about the taste and texture and the social experience that I am experiencing in that moment. So I want to close with what happened at my own counseling session. So there I am, demoralized, baby in hand, pink diaper bag in the other. I looked fantastic. And I sat down and the counselor said, Desi, show me how you feed Rory. Okay. So I got ready. And she was like, Desi, stop. You look like you're ready to go to battle. Ready to go to battle? No, I don't. Whatever. So I tried again. I looked like I was ready to go to battle with a bottle. I don't want to be fed like that, and I think you have to stop feeding yourself like that as well. So as I handed my baby back to the counselor and my bottle weapon, I saw the coolest dance between the two of them, one that was safe, one that was intriguing. I can tell you that what followed that appointment, that I haven't done the whole feeding thing perfectly. I've definitely come a long way from that, whatever that was. But I can tell you I remember getting home, recognizing that Rory was hungry, and my only agenda was just to be present with her and to play with her. So I played with her, I kissed her cheek, I nuzzled her nose, and finally, this happened. Yes! I can finally feed my baby. I can finally dance with her again. I think you all have to get back to the dance. Your role is super important because when kids see you eat, they think to themselves that they too will eat just like you, and it's no different from the comments that you make about yourself and your body. So I hope as you go home, and next time you're eating with family, is that you recognize the social experience and the love that you have for one another, and not just the food. My hope is that food becomes a part of your life, not the part. It sounds crazy, but food fights could save your life. Thank you.